Today's episode is with a longtime friend and serial entrepreneur. He's an all-around hustler. He's a great storyteller. He's played a lot of parties and he's lived a lot of life. Today's episode is with Joe Bunn.
Flash tripod.
Oh, yeah.
Small, either here
behind you
or here, like something like that.
Yeah.
And then do like the NFL does, like mic'd up.
Oh, nice.
So just let it run the whole show and then just wear a...
Oh, you're going to wear something?
Yeah, just wear a mic.
Yeah.
Like for when people come up and ask them shit or like...
Oh, that's good.
Sometimes I'm just like, just talking shit. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah,
like,
you make a funny
like,
comment
or,
about somebody.
Yeah, like when the dance floor clears, I'm like, you motherfuckers. Like, So like, I just feel like it would be...
Or if you see someone be like, hey, check this girl out. Like she's about to like spill the drink on
there,
whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
Like, look at your girl. Like, because the Saquon's back there, you know, and I'm always like talking to him like, look at your boy, look at your boy, look at your boy. I feel like the mic'd up could potentially be good.
That's funny. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
The commentary of it as it goes down.
Yes.
Well, it's exciting to have you on the pod, man.
Yeah, man.
What's interesting? So I was thinking about you before you came in here, and I was like, you know what?
Joe's we're running?
Yeah, we're running.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like the
we're right into it.
Get into it. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, we're doing it live.
No, I was thinking about you before you came in because I was watching this reel about DJs, and I was like, I feel like when people think of DJs, they don't think of people like you. And you've built this network of like companies. I mean, I was kind of out. It's hardware, software, the actual DJ business, the coaching program, and conferences.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 different verticals than just like
in the same space.
In the same space.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Which is, to me, when you talk about like, oh, I want to be a DJ with someone, you get into the EDM phase. What's kind of been like the trendy social thing. So I thought it would be cool to have someone on who's done something so, in a way big in a space that not a lot of people think about.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to like square one, Joe.
Yeah.
Because picking that as the place to go, and you've been doing it for a minute.
I'm in.
But I feel like I haven't got the full gist. Like you've told me stories, like little pieces of the puzzle. But I want to know like what was the initial seed, the first getting into it. Like take us back to the Chapel Hill days.
It was before it was pre-Chapel Hill.
Pre-Chapel Hill, yeah.
And so if you go all the way back, but that's interesting though. Before I get into this, though, that you were saying that because I spoke at State last week or 2 weeks ago at this entrepreneurial class. I think I do it every semester. Mm-hmm. And that's the first 2 slides I always show. I'm like, all right, so the professor introduced me. I do the whole 90-minute class. Mm-hmm. Like he just doesn't even
take it.
He's like, this is Joe Bunn. Like, and I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? And so
nice
it's like, hey. And so the first 2 slides are, here's what you probably think a DJ does.
Exactly.
And it's like a guy playing in a stadium, like at an EDM festival, hands out, 50,000 people. And then it's like, here's what I'm really doing. And it's like me crying watching somebody's first dance, like shot from over here on the side. I'm like, I feel like I'm crying. Like my eyes are definitely closed. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I was having a moment. And so I'm like, I just, before you like set your expectations about, we're not going to be talking about EDC festival. We're going to be talking about like how I built a business from this
100%.
Weddings.
Yeah.
Anyway, the story starts in Wilson, North Carolina, where I'm from, Eastern North Carolina. And having 2 parents that were not musical, but music lovers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So always, I mean, to this day, always music in the house, on the radio in the car, going to school, like very rare to go in that house without music playing.
Oh, interesting, yeah. What were they jamming to?
Like Motown, like or disco.
Yeah.
So when I mean, if I think back to when I was a kid, before I left home to go to school, it would have been like, Marvin Gaye, Temptations, even like disco stuff, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Donna Summer, and then of course you had beach music, which is very regional to North and South Carolina. Yeah. And they had vinyl, they had records. We would literally listen to records. And I don't know. I just caught the music bug. I always loved it. And then I remember there was some story about like this DJ, like either quitting DJing this teen club, which was basically just some parents probably renting out like a country club for a bunch of kids that were 13. The boys would sit on this side, and the girls sit on this side.
Hands in the pockets.
Yeah, it was so awkward. And I remember he either quit or it gets fuzzy here because I don't remember if he quit or if we like staged a coup against him. Like it was like a revolution. Like this guy sucks. I'm gonna start doing it. And people were like, "What?" And I was like, and they were like, "You're DJ?" And I'm like, "No, but I can do better." And I knew my parents had the music, right? Yeah. And I remember there was no internet. I don't remember even how I even knew the concept of like getting a mixer.
Because you got to put it. You got
to put it together, right? Like you had to have a mic. I had one of those little, and I do remember because that was when Radio Shack was hot shit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's a throwback.
So you could go to Radio Shack. They had the cords, they had the strobe lights, they had the cords, they had a mic.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. They had a mixer with a fader made by Realistic. That was the brand, Realistic.
Yeah.
Or Tandy. That was their other hot brand. And I pieced it together, and then I had my parents' home stereo sitting on a table like we're sitting at. Yeah. So there was no speaker stands because there was no hole in the. It was literally a home stereo.
Yeah. Just a wooden fold out.
I think it overheated like 3 times. This kid named Tad Rhodes tripped over the power cord, and ripped the whole power out of the middle of the thing. I had no idea what gaff tape was, and my main problem was I think it was like, let's call it like 7 to 10.
Yeah.
I was way short on music. I didn't have enough music to cover the 3 hours.
How many records would you have needed to make it through?
Back then everybody played the whole song. That's right. So you would leave.
You weren't
pop songs were probably 3 minutes, 3 hours. I mean,
let that thing ride.
You would have needed at least 50 songs, and I probably had like 25.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I'd play Stairway to Heaven like at the top of every hour because it was so long, and it was a slow jam. Yeah. So people were like, slow dance. That was like the only song.
Arms,
stiff arm slow dance. And it was, I don't remember how many minutes it was, but it would kind of carry that first part of the hour.
Yeah.
And then I'd go back into whatever the 80s songs were popular at the time. Yeah. Run out, go back to Stairway.
Ladies and gentlemen, back to Stairway to Heaven.
And then somehow this guy that was the town DJ catches wind that I'm doing these parties or whatever. And he wanted to get out of it to become the golf pro. So he was switching careers.
This is some small town USA.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't want to be the DJ, town DJ. I want to be the golf pro at the country club.
Yeah.
So he's like,
complete industry
changeover. And he sells me his gear. And I think he had a couple contracts too, like at Toyota of Wilson, to do like the sale.
For sure.
And so I buy this trailer, and I don't even think, I wasn't driving. I think my mom would drag this trailer around for me and drop me off, and I would do parties. You know.
It was a family affair getting Joe to the gigs.
Then, like, they'd come back and pick me up at the end of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then it goes to like, high school proms.
Yeah.
While I'm in high school. So I'm doing the prom at the prom.
Oh, yeah.
And then Carolina comes, and that's like unheard of at that time.
For sure.
To have a DJ. It was all bands. And I remember, I think I didn't do much my freshman year, but my sophomore year, I was joining a fraternity. Mm-hmm. And they were like, it was almost like hazing. They were like, this will be funny, dude. Let's make this dude play this party.
Oh, no way.
And it just went off.
Yeah.
Like, I think I have VHS footage from this party.
I feel like I've seen some
you have.
Video
that found footage stuff.
Yeah.
And then it became just like overnight sensation, like type thing where I would play starting at 2 a.m. So the bars would let out, and then people would come to these frat basement, just, rickety ass stage. Like I couldn't even play CDs were out then, but I couldn't even play them because the stage shook so bad. Oh, yeah. And people were jumping up there and like.
So what would you play then?
So I would make the mix at the house and just play the cassette and act like I was DJing because there was no way
You're
else.
Just like performing, basically.
I was just like hanging out with girls and stuff, basically, because I was like. You can't play like, because there was no anti-shock. Like CDJs weren't out. And again, man, people were just jumping up on that stage, jumping off the stage. And finally I was like, man, I give up, man. I just make the mix. And then, and then people started that would come to these late nights multiple nights a week, be like, I know what the next song is. And I'm like, damn, dude, I gotta go make a new one now. I was like, it was just, but that was like 3 years of just madness.
What was the dynamic of a frat party at Carolina
Dude,
back then?
It was everybody from like the basketball team that were like national champions down to like just whatever random could get in there.
For sure.
And just pack in this house. I mean, they weren't like, we didn't have any credentials. It was just, they wanted as many people there as possibly could be there.
Yeah.
Didn't matter if you were a brother or not. Like you were just in.
The dynamics changed a little bit.
Dude, I bet everything's changed over there. I mean, everything's changed in school, you know.
Bro.
Right, yeah. Now it's just probably who you know. But back then it was who cares? Free for all. Come to our party.
Dude, it's funny you said that thing about having it pre-recorded because my buddy did a show for the LSU homecoming. This was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I got to go down with him, and Shaq was the headliner. So my buddy was opening for him, and Shaq's set was basically the same thing. Like he had a buddy there who I think knew a little bit more about mixing and DJing, but essentially it was like a press play, and then he's up there just hands up doing it. And then like halfway through it, you know, it's like he comes over the microphone's like, and now it is time for me to enter the crowd. And then he just walks out into the crowd. I think I told you. Yeah.
Because
no one's on the decks. Like,
right.
It's just empty. Maybe his boys up there like checking it out. And then he's just out in the crowd, just like this
giant,
7
foot, whatever.
And everyone's just like trying to get a hand on him. You know?
Dude, I've seen videos of him playing, I mean, massive festivals.
Oh, yeah.
Now.
I mean, he blew up on it. Like he crushed it, no lie.
But you know, that hard like wub trap
for sure,
EDM stuff.
For sure.
And the other day I saw this video that was shot way from the back.
Yeah.
And it's huge, 20, 30,000 people there. The music cuts off and then cuts right back on. He goes, sorry, my dick hit the mixer. I'm like, what DJ?
He's probably the only DJ.
Number one, his dick is the level of the crossfader. 2, it's big enough to cut the music off.
Yeah, he's
you
one
can
of
cut
one.
This out, by the way. He literally said that on the mic. He goes, oh, sorry about that. My dick hit the mixer.
He's in a unique class of his own with that one. God.
So funny.
I think at one point his buddy came up as like Jesus. He was in a Jesus outfit.
What?
They had a whole like routine with it. You know? Yeah.
Shaq's out there,
some
man.
theatrics to make
Shaq's
it happen.
out there.
Did the first show at the country club get positive reviews?
I don't feel like it could have been good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I hit my stride until high school.
Yeah.
And then even in college, like I said, I wasn't very good, but it was very new. And there was only a couple of guys doing it. Me and this guy named Matt Kay. I still see him around Raleigh. And another guy named Dean that was like my rival. And that was it.
Oh, yeah.
And in terms of mobile DJing, there were some guys at the bars and stuff. But once I pushed out of that, you know, phase, and I think I stayed around an extra year past when I graduated.
Yeah.
And I was coming here a lot to NC State. So a lot of people thought I went to State because I would play up here just as much as I would play at Carolina. Because y'all were having parties at frat parties. So somebody saw me there, you know, and so I'd come play here.
Yeah. All like word of mouth type stuff, just getting around.
That's it. It was all word of mouth. And then eventually, when I moved, or said, really, I'm going to be done with this, I moved to Wilmington.
Yep.
And that's where basically I thought I was done. Started this hat and T-shirt business that went completely upside down shitty. So had to kind of keep DJing just to, you know, pay my bills and to be able to live at the beach basically and not have to bum money from people.
That's how you're eating off of DJing.
Literally. And stayed in those beach bars like 3, 4, 5 nights a week.
Oh, yeah.
And then I guess I was there till like 2000, moved back to Raleigh because I was like, I felt like I'd kind of worn out my welcome down there.
Played each one of these places hundreds of times.
Yeah, I'm going to leave out.
Had to get out
a minor part of the story there. I'm going to skip for just sake of just broadcast quality. And then end up in Raleigh, moved in with these friends of mine that I knew from down there that lived here. And then that's when I really was like, damn, dude, I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, got to eat.
Yeah.
You know, got to keep the lights on. Got to pay rent with these people I'm living with, and kept DJing. And that's when like there were these places all up and down Hillsborough Street, like the Big Bad Wolf. There's this place called Caparel's.
Yeah.
There was a place called Colorado's my buddy owned, and I mean, and
So
I was
much
doing
more
this.
than there's today.
Yo, dude, I was doing this thing though where I would go like in these places on the worst night and be like, all right, it's Tuesday. There's 3 people in here.
Yeah.
I feel like I can put 300 in here in the next 30 days. But I need $5 from everybody that comes in.
Yeah.
And my buddy Jeb is going to, be the door. And this is when everybody had cash. Like it wasn't like a debit card society. You had money.
Venmo and all these
and
things.
So,
And so,
my friend would sit at the door and take $5 from every single person. And then they kept the bar. Money.
Oh, wow.
And they had, again, they were barely open.
Yeah.
You know, and so first week there'd be 25 people. The next week, wait a minute, that was fun. Now there's 50. Now there's 100. Now there's a line down the block.
For sure.
You know, and I'm walking out there with 1,500, 2,000.
What are you doing to get everyone to come out?
Flyers.
Oh my gosh.
OG staple. You know those like wooden things that used to be on campus?
Yeah, you would just,
I don't know if they still
like
there.
a wooden cylinder. And you can just put whatever you want on it.
I would go out and I would go to Kinko's and I would say, make me 200 copies of this. And it would be like DJ Joe Bunn live tonight, the blind tiger or whatever, the big bad wolf, $5 cover, $2 Jaeger shots or whatever. And then I would just get one of those staple guns, pop, pop, pop. Pop, 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 and just had a backpack, and that's all we did, like leading up to it. Yeah. No social media, no radio.
Well, it's funny because like today,
nothing.
you go put out a flyer. I don't even know if it would work. Like,
would it even stay up?
I don't know.
Is that even legal?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think State had like one of those.
Yeah.
When I was there.
So you missed it, but there used to be. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you knew what plays were coming, what concerts were coming.
Because I guess people paid more attention to him because there wasn't another way to know.
There was no other
what
media.
was happening.
Or like school paper. That was out.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We might have run ads in school paper, but I mean, it was flyers.
Dang.
Flyers.
Yeah.
Nuts, dude. So old school.
That is so old school. But then those guys are like, oh man, he actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
here.
and
like,
the flyers were like crazy. Like they would be like somebody's album, like the Beastie Boys, but like take the heads off of the Beastie Boys and put my head on. But like nobody had Photoshop, so we were literally like cut the head out off
that's
and stick it on there and then make that copy off that copy. Like it was so just bootleg. Like,
well, shit, it
but
worked.
It blew up, and dude, I was making just stupid, crazy amounts of money, cash.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's gone now. It's all gone. I have none of that, but it was really fun. And then. And
but
then,
it had to be a vote of confidence too, for just like, hey, this could actually be something.
But then it became like, this is exhausting. 2 or 3 in the morning and multiple nights a week, but then you started getting these people that were there that were older or graduating or their sister was getting married, and you start getting those calls. Well, what do you think about doing a wedding? Oh, well, yeah, I could do a wedding probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it became, I'm getting busy doing these weddings and private events. And then it started becoming phone calls come in. Oh, damn, I'm already booked. So then you're like, dude, they're not moving their date.
Yeah.
They're going to end up with some other DJ.
For sure.
The DJ needs to be working for me.
Yeah.
Then start going to record stores. Start putting ads in the paper.
Yeah.
In the independent, or what is y'all's called? The Technician.
Oh.
The Technician school paper.
Yeah.
Then there was one called The Independent. Then there was one called The Spectator.
Yeah.
So we were putting ads in those, basically hiring DJs and going in school kids' records and being like, and Randy worked there for 20 years, ran that school kids' records.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And that's where I would go and buy all my stuff.
Was there even like an industry at that time though, where people were building companies like did you know anyone in?
Yes, there were other mobile guys in Raleigh, and most of them have kind of aged out of it now, or just gone out of business, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But there were a few people doing it. We would mostly see them when we would go to the wedding shows at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And, I come in as this kind of new, young guy, refused to wear a tuxedo, and they were all still wearing tuxedos. And I was like, I'm not wearing a tuxedo. So. Like, I'll wear a suit.
That ain't me.
But I'm not wearing a tux, like, especially with a matching cummerbund and bow tie. I mean, they were killing it. And
the full fit.
Yeah. And toe. I was like,
that's old school.
And so I was kind of hated right out of the gate. But then I started to kind of learned the dynamics of all these companies and formed this basically association with all these DJs and tried to kind of bring them all together. And man, we used to meet like once a month, and it became a whole like nonprofit thing. And then somehow over the years, too many egos rubbed together, and it was like my greatest accomplishment. And then it was like the saddest I ever was when it fell apart.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, that, and then again, 2 DJs became 5, 5 became 10,
that's right.
10 became 20. And then I started having DJs coming to me saying, I want to run my own. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, bro, not in Raleigh. Yeah. And so they would go, to Charleston.
Oh, yeah.
Then Brandon wanted to go to Charlotte. Mm-hmm. I had Frank was already living in Richmond. He was a builder, but he hated what he was doing. I had a guy living in San Diego. Yeah. And my sister, 45 years old, all of a sudden decides she wants to be a DJ.
Yeah.
So that's how the other offices were born. And that's really how the DJ part
for sure
came to fruition.
It seems like it's just such a non-traditional way to go about building something in the space.
It's really bizarre. And I mean, looking back on it, I don't really know that I would have done it any different. I don't really make a lot of money on these quote unquote franchise offices because they own them.
For sure.
The money they put into them is their money. I have like I took a nice lump sum up front, kind of train them and put them on the website. Yeah. And then take like 4% of their royalties, but it's not a lot of money.
For sure.
Looking back, I mean, should I have tried to retain them? Yeah, maybe retain the ownership, but I couldn't drive down to Charleston 4.5 hours and go to the networking meetings and be Joe Bunn down there.
Definitely.
Like David Fox is down there. I couldn't have done that. I mean, especially when my kids were younger.
Oh, yeah. That would stretch you so thin.
Too thin.
Yeah. But then it's like, so you had the mobile DJ company, but then you've had all these other sort of like offshoots that are around this whole industry. I mean, what was like when was the inspiration for some of those things, whether it's the conference or the softwares?
I think, man, it was always building over the last decade towards something bigger. Yeah. Like, because you got to remember, I was speaking at these conferences forever. Yeah. Wedding and DJ conferences. There used to be some trade magazines. I was writing articles for those. Yeah. Okay. So I was kind of starting to build this educator brand, if you will, this helper.
For sure.
This is a guy like we should be listening to kind of brand.
Yeah.
And I remember just having this idea to put it all online. Because the conferences, let's just say there was 1,000 people at the biggest one. That's the most people you're going to see. Yeah. What if you put it out to the world and made it a membership? Sure. And so February 2019, we launched this DJ's Vault concept. And it was really Facebook ad driven. And that was just totally happenstance. I was getting somebody completely different to build a website, which is not what I needed. I needed a sales page or a funnel. Sure. Yeah. And I happened to meet, Dominic in the middle of this idea. And he convinced me he was an expert, which little let I know he had.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, he faked it till he made it. I had no idea he was like completely unsuccessful until we popped off together. Yeah. And it just kind of blew up that first night, And now we sit like around 1,000 members for that. Yeah. And then maybe 3 months after that, I started getting hit up with a bunch of other ideas from other people. You got to remember, and also everybody's sitting at home in 2020.
Yeah.
So this guy, Aaron Traylor's like, dude, I got this idea to like do these basically distributed PDFs of the bangers. Like,
well, talk about like why that's helpful, because I don't think a lot of people even understand that dynamic.
I think that the concept was that he was basically going to, distribute, if you remember, these emailed PDFs of songs that were almost like in playable order. Yeah. So for people that would kind of get anxiety, or people that were new, or people that were just stuck in a rut.
Well, it's like a playbook for a DJ, right?
Yeah,
it's just
it was, but it was based on his time as a radio programmer, right? Because he had access to a lot of lists that we did not. So what was hot in Idaho or Indiana, or might not have been hot here. So he had like this kind of window to all these different charts.
Got it. Okay.
So he was kind of compiling them, and I was like, and he was called the Perfect DJ Playlist. He wanted to charge $5 a month, and I was like, everything about this sucks. Like, I hate the name. I hate the price. I'm not doing it for $5 a month.
Yeah.
And we called Dom and kind of pitched it, and we launched Crate Hackers, what became Crate Hackers, and it blew up quick, like in the thousands of members.
For sure.
But we quickly realized, like, this is kind of like we're charging $30 a month for this piece of paper, like a PDF.
Yeah, exactly.
And this guy, Glenn, that was a DJ and a developer, was like, man, I like what you're doing, but this is not sustainable. Like, there's no way people are going to stick around.
For sure.
Like, let's make it into an app. And that's how the software started.
Yeah.
You know? So now we got this Crate Hackers app sitting on the dock of your MacBook.
Yeah.
That can basically scan your library, tell you if you have the songs that are now on these charts.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, you know, the PDFs became these
For
crates or charts. We even have, you know, this where I'm basically asking couples for just a Spotify link now. I'll plug it into Crate Hackers. It literally tells me if I do or don't have the songs. Yeah. And then even tells me if you don't have it, you can get it from this record pool. Instant. Right. Yeah. So it's just that, and that's, you know, 5,700, 6,000 members now.
Wow. Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The DJ booth was kind of like the same thing. Just it was a necessity piece. Like I was so disgusted with showing up at these venues and just they'd have you a 6-foot table, kind of rack, you know, rickety.
The Bunn Gear booth.
The Bunn Gear
talking about,
yeah. So that's how I started building the command center. The Bunn Gear Command Center was because I was fed up with these tables with a dirty linen on it, you know, and they were way too big, and they were, even for somebody short, they were too short. And then you would just throw your road case up on top. It looked like shit. Yeah. You know, these expensive weddings. And that's how, you know, we started building these DJ booths. It's just...
It's all like a testament to going all in, man. It's like
it's a testament to going all in, right. But it's also, because I think about all the things that I did that were failures and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on, were non-DJ related.
Ooh,
it's all about staying in your lane.
Yeah.
And your audience and knowing your audience, man. If anything else I ever did, man, real estate, that hat and T-shirt stuff. Sure. I managed a band. Like, I mean, I was trying to be a music producer. Like,
just pulled you off of like what was that?
Too far off the path, and just took massive hemorrhaging beatings.
All right, I want to get into what it's like to be a DJ, because I want to get into the headspace of what it's like at some critical moments within the show.
Okay.
So first off, I'm always curious about how people get people onto the dance floor, right? Because you know, like you said, whenever you're at one of these places, and I guess different age groups are different, but like, what's the play if like the party sucks? It's on you. Like, what are you thinking? What are you gonna do?
It's tough. I mean, I think I'll say this. I mean, I don't even want to say that I don't get sucky parties anymore or shitty parties because I do. Yeah. But I mean, I do feel like at a certain point in your career, you kind of pivot to where they're kind of rare. Yeah. Because nobody wants to spend that kind of money.
This is a good point.
If this is not like high priority.
Yeah, it's kind of like pre-vetted in a way, given that they're coming to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but maybe farther back in time.
It makes me so hot, like actually temperature hot and uncomfortable. And angry that I don't even know that my face is not showing. Okay. And I'm literally saying under my breath, "You motherfuckers! Like, I can't. Someone get out here! What are you doing?" and the irony is, I'm not the guy that's going to go out there and like round everybody up and teach them like the cha-cha slide.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, you could save it. Now, somebody like Mike Walter, right, that I used to do a podcast with in New Jersey. Okay. He's highly interactive. Yeah. And if he saw the ship sinking like that, especially like a corporate event, let's say. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to, if I knew I needed to pull a line dance, like a cha-cha slide or a Cupid shuffle to do anything, to get any sort of energy going, I'll pull it, and I'll play it. But I'm not going to come out from behind the booth and start leading it. Mike Walter will get right out there and just
solo dolo.
Oh, he don't give a shit. And he knows these steps. He teaches all his DJs how, you know, to know them. So that's kind of the difference between like, you know, just a DJ and then somebody that's going to be more interactive. Okay. For me, man, I mean, I've definitely let parties sink that I just couldn't save, right?
You see it going down, something.
Or you have to take Or you take the other approach, right? Is go to the line dances, or if it's really like super mellow, sometimes you have to go like to like one fast song, one slow song, one fast song. And now you've seen me play. I mean, I might play one slow song in a whole 3 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
You almost have to treat it like that, or you have to, if you really, see it kind of either winding down or see that the vibe is just not ever
For sure.
I've turned it into just like, okay, this party still needs music. I'm gonna turn it into more like Sublime and John Mayer and like more of a vibe set. Yeah. Like I just go fully
maybe like a little beach music kind of just
like full 180 almost. Like, okay, I shouldn't have, they're not accepting any of these pop songs or any of this. Nothing's working. I'm just gonna revert back to, I'm the guy that just needs to have music on for this party. But it's been a minute since I've had something.
You got to kind of understand your role if it's going south.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't, sometimes you just can't force feed it.
Yeah.
You have a corporate event with 150 people and nobody brought their spouse. I mean, nobody's going to get ape shit in front of their boss. Nobody. No. You don't want to be hitting on Beth from the HR department.
A couple extra glasses of Chardonnay.
But people are very aware.
Yeah.
It's very rare that people turn way up.
For sure.
At a corporate event.
Man, you played so many shows at this point. What's some crazy stuff that's happened as a DJ? I mean, man, I can't imagine. From colleges to
the college stuff was
all ranges of like events and whatnot. Like
I feel like it's that. If I look back, like I'm so glad that I kind of did it all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I've done the bars and the I would say clubs, but like the small clubs. And then I've done the weddings. I mean, thousands of weddings at this point.
For sure.
I've done the corporate events. I'm doing the Epic Games party next weekend. I mean, that's 2,000 people. Big one, yeah. Crazy. But the one thing the story that professor of state always makes me tell, and I hate it. It makes me like I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Do you remember it? Yeah.
I remember it. I was at Bald Head. You ever go down there, Bald Head Island?
Yeah.
You know this story?
Right off the coast of Southport. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Bald Head Island is ferry only. There's no cars allowed.
Yeah.
No cars at all. So you have to unload your car, put it on a cart, and they roll it up a ramp, and they put it on the ferry.
Yeah.
And I get there to do a wedding, and these 2 girls pick me up, 2 wedding planners, in a golf cart.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, just put all your stuff on the back, like where the clubs go.
Oh, yeah.
And this was when I had a much smaller rig anyway. It was kind of, I don't know. God, this has probably been 10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
I didn't have nearly the amount of gear that I take.
You fit it all on.
Yeah. I just stacked it on the back.
For sure.
And we start driving, and they're like, oh, it rained really bad here yesterday. There's a big swamp in the middle, but we just been driving through it of this cart path because there's only there's only one way to the country club. It's like at the other end. And I was like, okay, and I'm standing on the back, and we start going through this thing,
trying to hold your stuff on.
Kinda, yeah, like standing on that platform where the clubs go. And then the gear's kind of stacked on that seat, the reverse seat.
Yeah.
And we start going through this puddle, and I'm like, this is a fucking lake. And the thing goes dead in the middle. So, water's starting to come in the cart, and, it's electric and water. And so the girl goes, what are we going to do? And I'm like, somebody needs to push us out of here. I got a suit on, and you got a short skirt on. So I make her get out.
One of us pushing it. It ain't me.
She goes around the back and starts pushing, and then the other girl in the other front seat reaches across and hits the gas. Well, when she engages the gas, the cart goes forward, the girl falls down, goes underwater, and all my shit falls off on top of her in the water, bro. Speakers floating, MacBook Pro on the bottom of the lake, microphones, all music, everything that I have is either floating or at the bottom of the swamp. I'm crying, like physically, tears coming out my eyes, tourists coming by laughing. I'm screaming, fuck this, take me back to the ferry. Yeah. And they're like, dude, there's no other DJ on the island. You have to do the wedding. I'm like, what are you not realizing? I'm screaming, I'm losing it. Take me back to the ferry right now. You have to do this. I'm like, with what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm just meltdown
Dude,
central.
You want to understand what is just
It's not like there's a Best Buy. Like, this is an island. I mean,
with like a grocery store, golf carts.
Literally, golf cart, like a bike shop, one restaurant, and like a little grocery store.
That's
like
right.
That's it. screaming. I'm crying. Tourists are laughing. So I round it up, and I'm early. Yeah. I'm like 2 or 3 hours early, and I get there, and I got my pants rolled up to my knees. Now I'm soaked, and I just start laying out stuff on this deck. Yeah. Like none of the wedding party or anything. They were getting married off property. Yeah. And I'm just like, dude, what is salvageable? I mean, literally, when I opened the MacBook, it just opened like water. And I was like, okay, that's not, that ain't it.
We're going to put this over here.
And then I kind of plugged up a couple speakers to like just the wall to see if they powered. One came on. And then this was like when iPods were still big. I had that in my pocket. And this was like early iPhone. Okay. So I had songs on both of those.
Wow.
And then I think I had the CDJ
with 1000. The aux ports still, all that stuff,
yeah, with the headphone jacks. I had a bag of cables, of course. Yeah. And I think the mixer worked, but the CD players did not. So basically, I just had an iPhone on the left, an iPod on the right, and then I just played between the two through the one speaker. Wow. I had a wired microphone. The wireless was underwater. And dude, and I used to write a blog after every wedding. Yeah. Until the bride read that blog, she had no idea anything was wrong.
No way.
Nobody ever told her. I just kind of moved that one speaker around all night, like to different spots. I had people dancing. I mean, it wasn't like flawless. It wasn't like a hot mix, but I got through it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it was, it was all from like Eagle Scout preparedness. Because I had, backups of like their first dance, their parent dances. The Hot 100.
You had thought
I always used to do that.
Worst case scenario, I'll put it on
I always used to do that. And this was like before Spotify or streaming or anything. Like, the actual files had to be on your phone and on the thing. And on the iPod. But dude, I got through that show, and it was the war. And I haven't been back to Bald Head since. Like, I'll get calls, and I'm like 12,000. And people are like, I thought it was more around 5. And I'm like, it's 12,000 for Bald Head pricing. I'm never coming back.
This place is cursed, dude. We were in this was another story with my buddy Snyder. We were in Wabash, outside of Indianapolis. It's a college town. I think it's Wabash College. I don't even know. We had been there once for this like fraternity party. They had brought out a big rap producer who did DJs. So we went out there once. It was a fun show. They had like a big stage.
You were shooting it?
I was shooting it, and he was playing. Yeah. So we went out there one time, and it went really well. So they wanted him to come back. And like, hey, we got the same setup as last time, man. You're just gonna come out. We'll do the same type of flow, but you're gonna be the one guy. No one else is gonna. It's just gonna be you. It's like, all right, it was a fun time. We'll go back out there. So we show up, and the guy has like pulled the deck that Snyder's supposed to be playing on out of like his like dorm closet, and had been like, oh, it looks like the one we had before, so it's got to be the same one. So he has it sitting there, and like we're trying to plug into it, and we're just like, this ain't it. Like this is not the same one you had before, and like something with how the drivers or it was so outdated, it just didn't work anymore. So it finally gets to the point where we're like, 20, 30 minutes out from we'd been Jimmy rigging this thing, and it was like, I mean, I brought my laptop. So just laptopped it into the system and played the whole show off of a MacBook Air.
No
I think.
way.
Because there's like hotkeys.
Yeah.
And like fading it with the trackpad.
With the little thing.
Going between.
Yeah. And that's how he played
the show? That's how he played it, yeah.
Wow.
I think it was a quick one. I think it might have been like a 30, 40 minute type of situation. Right. We were in and out.
I mean, dude, I've seen guys do it. I mean, that DJAY app, that thing is killer. I mean, it's got up and down faders. It's got a crossfader on the iPad. And up until like a year or two ago, it had Spotify API, like open API.
Yeah, you're streaming right into it.
So you had whatever song you want. It's crazy, dude.
A long way from crates at the
teen club. My mom's stereo, Marantz stereo that I fried the woofers on every Saturday night.
Humble beginnings to the greatness.
Crazy, dude. What a world.
That's amazing.
What a ride.
It is interesting. I mean, I go back to that time and time again. It's just, it seems like it's such a unique place to build, and you've done it well for so many years.
It is definitely like a niche thing, man. But like, I could have made a career just off the one DJ company in Raleigh. These other things were really late in life. I mean, think about it. I mean, I'm 52. I mean, that means I was like 47 when I started the Vault. 48, something like that. I mean, and to where you're getting this like huge recurring revenue pop every month. None of that stuff existed until I was almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
Even the DJ booth idea, to build these things, we've sold probably 500. They're all over the world now.
Yeah.
This console is just, I don't know, man. I feel like if you just kind of stick in your lane and you keep hustling and you don't kind of hyper jump between jobs, and we talked about that before.
For sure.
How, one, it's just such a blessing to like wake up and be able to do like something you love to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But also just kind of staying in your lane and keep on doing it and doing it better and doing it better. Versus like all my friends from college, again, we've been out 30 years now. Dude, I bet they've had 8 to 10 jobs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Easily.
For sure.
Some of them don't even unpack like their box because they know there's some headhunter is going to call and offer a bigger salary and better stock options and all that bullshit. I mean, some of the guys don't even unpack. Like they don't even put their stuff in their office.
It's funny. Like, I mean, even in conversations I have with my friends, like you'll hear someone say they got a new job and they never talk about the job, like what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
It's always like, well, I'm making more money.
Yeah.
Or like, they gave me a good bonus, but no one's like, I'm really excited about my new position doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, it's just such a different
very few of my friends. Very few of my friends that I either grew up with or went to college with, could I even tell you what they do?
Yeah. Or like you ask them what they do and they're like, well, you're like,
they'll tell you the company and nobody's really proud of it. Nobody's excited about it.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you're just going through the motions with like no purpose almost. I couldn't do it. I think some people are programmed differently.
Maybe
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's coming
different
from
drivers for what they appreciate.
Coming from somebody whose dad owned a factory. I mean, I think you've been over there, but have you ever shot over there?
I've been in Rocky Mount.
Yeah,
I've seen
so
it,
my
but
dad's factory, makes rope, and there were ladies there. I would go work there in the summers when I used to be a boy and live in Wilson. So I was probably 16, 17 before I left for college, and it was what you think a factory is, and there were women there. There were probably in their 60s and 70s that had been there when my dad was a little boy working there.
Wow.
And so they had been there for 50 years. Since they were 18 or 19. This was their first and only job. And I'm not kidding, man. I mean, it was almost like, those like old TV shows you'd see where it was something like putting the cap on a toothpaste.
Yeah.
It was something that simple, where they would take this
part
what
of
we call a little
line.
thing of rope.
Yeah.
You see it like Ace Hardware and like put the shrink wrap around it and then run it through the heater and then put the shrink wrap around. I mean, and they would punch clock and they'd eat their lunch for 30 minutes in the middle of the day and they'd punch it when they left.
Yeah.
And they were there for their entire lives almost until they died.
Yeah.
So I feel like some people are just wired differently, or they don't have this like creative passion or drive or
something outside of work is where they really like work is just a means to
they might have been the greatest mom ever. I didn't know them outside of there, but in that 6 or 7 or 8 hours, they were the rope lady.
Yeah,
it's just very. I couldn't do that kind of stuff.
100%. I mean, man, I even think about like because my first thing out of school was working for a startup, and it was like, you're making no money, and you're like probably overworked in a sense. You're doing all kinds of different things, trying to figure it out, and it's like, in a sense, I was even like I felt like that was safe in a way because I was like, oh, I know like there's this paycheck, I know like what this is going to be, and then I'm like, one of the biggest blessings for me was that failed. Yeah. And I had to figure out something new. Right. But I could see, like, even just for those 3 years, I could see how, like, you kind of get caught in the drumbeat of it.
In the vortex.
Like, okay, this is safe. This is comfortable. I like it.
I got health insurance. I got blah, blah, blah. I got 100%. 401k. I got a decent paycheck. I got, now you bought your first house. Now you got married. Now you had a kid. Like, next thing you know, 20 years have gone by and you're like, shit, man, what have I done? Like, I don't know, man. I'm very happy with, like,
for sure,
even with all the failures and the frustrations and the heartbreaks and everything else. I mean, it's hard to ever look back and go, man, I would have done this differently, or any little. It's like Back to the Future, when you watch those movies and they change one little thing.
Yeah,
and
the butterfly effect.
Yeah,
of it all. You're like,
I don't think I would have changed anything.
Yeah, that's beautiful though.
Yeah, it really is, man. It's been quite a journey.
That's awesome. Hey, man, I appreciate you being on the pod, though.
Dude,
this was fun.
Let's hope it's the biggest podcast in the world. You're the next Joe Rogan.
I don't know.
Do I get royalties? Did you hear him agree to royalties?
Episode 2, hopefully.
Yes.
Many
right
more
out
to
of
come.
the gate.
And we'll have to do it again, too.
Let's do it.
That was fun.
Let's do it.
All right, y'all.
Joe would be